Bring in the whores.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
And that's when the whores come in.
Here we go.
Welcome to another episode of the Wasted Potential Podcast special series, Bring in the Whores. Key it up. Perfect. Okay. This week, our theme, well, I guess I'll explain it again in case this is the first episode you're jumping in on. Ronnie and I are pursuing the dark arts of horror writing by writing our own horror script and submitting it to anyone that will buy it, and then using the proceeds to nurse a drug habit.
Hi, I'm Ronnie. This is Shane.
Oh, yes. And we're podcasters. We are also doing, along with this, a series on where we review horror films. We present horror films in certain genres that we like. Some of us don't like. And then we talk about them, discuss them, say off-color jokes, and get in trouble. We'll be releasing some glass half fulls and commentary stuff and all that fun stuff too. But this is horrors, so let's talk about the horrors. This week, we're doing what, like supernatural / spiritual?
/ hauntings, kind of like that.
Haunting, yeah.
Where something spiritual, supernatural is involved in a family or a house somewhere. So it's kind of tying those all together, which is, it's impossible to do an entire genre in 1 hour and only do it on 3 movies, but we'll talk about some other movies we like as well and kind of sprinkle them in there to get like the idea, and we'll figure out like the motifs and stuff, because as we're trying to write a horror movie, figure out the pitfalls to put in there or to avoid.
Yeah. If you're wondering, yes, we will be casting Russell Crowe as our main character.
You just can't wait, can you?
I love it. So for the movies that we chose, obviously when we say this, you're going to think, oh, The Exorcist, The Shining, other ones like that. Those are so low hanging and everyone has seen them and knows them. So we didn't really choose those. They're honorable mentions for sure.
I've seen all the Exorcist movies. You haven't, and those are the spectrum of good to terrible is pretty interesting with those, actually. So maybe we might do a deep dive, and then Dan and I have been talking about for years doing The Shining, because you do like the book, the TV movie, the classic one, and then you also have the sequel. So we might bring those in at a different time. But those are obviously like our go-tos of like almost near perfect haunting ghost movies.
Yeah. The Exorcist will be brought up again.
Yes.
As how to do an exorcism movie versus what we watched. So this week I chose the Babadook. Duck. And Ronnie, what did you choose?
I chose Poltergeist.
And then, just to mix it up, we watched The Pope's Exorcist.
Yay.
Yay.
So we're
a lot to say about that shitter.
So we'll talk about a movie that we both like, one of us likes, and a movie that both of us thoroughly
cherish.
Enjoyed. Yeah, that means a lot to us.
That will forever be a part of our relationship.
Can't go back now.
So we'll talk about the first movie, The Babadook.
Where'd you get this?
On the shelf.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. A rumbling sound, then 3 sharp knocks.
Babadook, dook, dook.
That's when you'll know he's around. You'll see him if you look.
Want to give us a brief synopsis of it first for those not initiated, and then maybe we can talk about when we both saw it, and then dive into the things we liked?
Okay, I'll do my best to explain what the Babadook... Really not what it is, but the movie.
Yeah, just like the plot. We'll get into themes probably later, but maybe.
Yeah, it's very thematic. But okay, so the Babadook is a mom and her son. 7 years ago, lost her husband / his dad, and she is having a very hard time coping. They live in a house together. She's kind of scraping by. And the son is claiming to see a monster and is basically, he's obsessive about, like, you know, protecting his mom from it. He sees it all the time. He is prepping to confront this monster, I guess. And it just, all his conversations, everything he talks with, and it causes him to act out in school, not do well. And the mom is kind of reaching her wit's end with dealing with grief / dealing with a child that's, for lack of a better term, a weirdo.
The fucking sociopath, man. That kid's off.
But in the film, it turns out that he's not the crazy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of fun. But so it goes on. He's telling his mom about this monster, and she finds a book in the house called The Babadook, which sounds silly, and it all should be silly, but it's not silly at all.
Yeah.
And then this monster starts to kind of go after her because it can't get the child. Kind of turns into a possession film. They confront the Babadook, and then they learn that you can't get rid of evil. You just learn to feed it and lock it in the basement. Just bury it deep, deep down and try to put a smile on every day. The Babadook.
Yeah, I think she's an Aussie, right? It's an Australian or New Zealand.
It's some sort of foreign film.
You know what's fun about these? Because it's an IFC midnight, which I could go on a deep dive about how important IFC is to my trauma and my life of watching horror movies. But I think it's Australian. And I think it's produced by like the Australian like arts board. What I love about foreign countries,
the Babadook.
Yeah, they'll actually like give money to small independent filmmakers to make movies because they're like art. They're not just
socialists.
Yeah, they're socialists.
Sounds like some communist bullcrap to me.
And they make good movies. Well, not always. There's some shitty state-sponsored movies. They're out there. They're kind of fun too. But there's like movies like this. There's small art house films that are supported by state art funds.
Interesting. I think Britain has kind of a thing like that too.
Canada's big on it.
The
Britain's
PBS.
big on it.
Oh, Canada for sure.
Everyone but us, because imagine if we did state-sponsored films.
Jesus,
that would never work. But
who knows?
Back to the Babadook. When did you first see it?
So I actually hadn't seen it. I had heard it was really, really good and all these things, and so you kept bringing it up, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use it as my pick. Because generally I trust what you tell me is going to be good. My trust was shattered this week. But I saw The Babadook for the first time. And I will say I have not been legitimately creeped out or scared by a film in a long time. That changed this week. And I knew it because as soon as I finished it, I looked over and my closet door was open. And I got up and closed it. I was like, nope. And if you would have told me that the shadow of a top hat with a trench coat with kind of long Slender Man fingers would scare me, I would be like, oh, you're too simple. But this movie is very good at getting the most with nothing. And it's hard to explain how good the director is at getting every ounce out of very little.
Yeah, because I didn't rewatch it for this time. I didn't have time to, but I've seen it like 4 times. It's one of those movies that I recommend to people all the time and say it's good enough for like a casual horror person to enjoy, but also more pretentious people can actually enjoy the deeper things. So it's
very heady.
It is, but it also works as just a plain old horror movie as well. Because I was watching the trailer and I was like, oh, this is like a little bit misleading. Like you would think this is some generic, trash horror thing. Oh, it looks really cheap because there's only 2 people in a house. It looks small, but the filmmaking is so effective and well crafted that it elevates, like you said, the simplicity of it's a silly story that's elevated by the shadows, the camera angles, and using the darkness like incredibly well, because you don't see the Babadook until you need to, and it's enough of an outline or like a silhouette to just be haunting enough, because that's what's effective right in horror. It's the unknown.
Right.
Seeing a silhouette of a top hat and long arms is more terrifying than seeing the full caricature out.
Yeah, it's like if Jeepers Creepers didn't show the monster, just the silhouette of the monster.
Yeah, that's a creature feature that I loved as a kid that I uses the monster too much, but it's a really creepy design of a creature, and it's very similar where it's like the long arms kind of reaching out. It reminded me of Alien, where the alien's arms going, give me a hug. Like that jump scared. Like, a lot of that, the arms.
Where it's just a man in a plastic suit going, Marr!
And that's why you see like 90 seconds of an alien in that 2-hour movie.
Yep. But yeah, I was so impressed by the horror because, man, you get those tingles down your spine where you're like, oh, I'm not comfortable. But it's not gory. It doesn't have like shock value. It cuts away when there would be gore. And the scary thing is that the monster, at least to me, could or could not be real. It could just be her. She is the monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that ties into like the themes and like the symbolism, but yeah, continue.
Very, very thematic. And thank God, because every horror movie nowadays falls into this trope where I was waiting for her to go to like the University of Paranormal Ottawa or something. and there would be some guys like, oh, see, what you have here is you have a classic case of a Babadook haunting. As you can see in this old book I have on my desk, reading back to the 1800s, evil will find its way. The Babadook. It was the old myth told by Russian Baba Nagas.
The Baba Yaga myth.
The only way to do it is you must confront it and drink an elixir of pig blood and be pure of heart. Like they always have the university specialist that tells you and does all these things, and then they go and conquer the monster. But she really, I guess, it classically love wins type thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really win. The monster's still there. Spoiler alert. Like, it's always there. Well, which we can talk about the themes, I guess, coming in. We keep saying we're going to talk about the themes, but let's do it.
Jump in.
So, this movie deals with loss and dealing with grief, and how if you don't address the grief and you don't acknowledge it and deal with it, it can manifest itself in awful ways, is kind of how I took it.
Mm-hmm.
So the son is not dealing with... I think the son is the most... In the end, it's revealed that he's not the crazy one. He's actually dealing with it the best. He's the one dealing in reality here.
Yeah, he's like... Because, like, it kind of pulls the hood over your eyes. Like, he's obviously doing violent things, and he's awful and screaming, but it's because of her, though. Like...
she's the reason for all this.
Yeah, it's because she's not dealing with it, and she's like detached from it, and emotionally he's picking up on those things, and because he doesn't deal with grief and love properly, she doesn't do it properly, and it just spills. Like the grief depression spills over into your loved ones, because I'm pretty sure I don't think he ever meets his dad, right?
No, she had him that night. He never met his dad. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the whole point. Is like it's he doesn't know what the loss is. She does, and it's kind of pouring into his life, and we're manifesting it in that way. And then from there, that manifests into this creepy demon or spirit or whatever it is. We don't need to know, because it doesn't matter what the classification spiritual thing is. It's just her grief is this thing that's pulling everyone into this darkness.
As Russell Crowe would say,
trauma is a vessel for the demon to find its way in. Children are
susceptible to this.
Yeah. And then that's my favorite part of the horror is good, but my favorite part is that ending, which spoilers, jump ahead. There's something in the time code will tell you to jump ahead to, but like you have to feed that depression. You have to deal with it every day. She has to go into that locked room and feed the Babadook and realize like this is my reality. I can't just lock it away and not talk about it. It's still there. I'm going to live with that. So you have to live with your trauma.
Right, and eventually it starts to lose its power because you acknowledge its existence.
Yeah, but what I like about it though is like she doesn't go in there smiling. She's still afraid of it. She's still terrified of it, but she's less than she was because she understands what it is now. So it's a perfect analogy for dealing with like loss and trauma and stuff. So I can't say enough good things about this film. I love the Babadook.
Yeah, it's really good. And like going back to the son, you think he's kind of a weirdo, he's crazy. But he's the only one actually dealing with this in the way he can as a child, right? He's building contraptions, which this movie does really well with setup. He's building all these contraptions and like weapons so that when the Babadook, he knows the confrontation's coming, he just doesn't know when, so he's prepping. He's kind of Sarah Connor in this sense. Very T2-esque.
Children look like burnt paper, black, not moving. And then the blast wave hits them, and they fly apart like leaves. It's not a dream anymore, it's real. I know the date it happens.
I'm sure it feels very real to you.
On August 29th, 1997, it's gonna feel pretty fucking real to you, too. Anybody not wearing 2 million sunblock is gonna have a real bad day. Get it? God, you think you're safe and alive? You're already dead. Everybody. You're dead already. This whole place, everything you see is gone. You're the one living in a fucking dream, Silverman, because I knew it happened. It happened. Ah!
It's in my brain! What is it? Babadook!
Oh, no. No.
Give it to me.
Do you want to die? Mommy! She wouldn't believe me! Mommy!
Just be normal. There is no Babadook.
The mom, and I don't remember her name, but she's kind of already crazy. Like all the memories of the father are locked in this basement, and that's where the Babadook comes from. Basically, it lives in the basement, which is the memory of the dad. But all the pictures and everything, and she won't even let her son see pictures. She won't address it at all. And he's like, wants to know who his dad was and stuff like that. And everyone's telling her like, you need to handle this, and she's basically lashing out at everyone. Because the sisters kind of made, and this, if I was going to give a critique to this movie, and it's the slightest critique, I don't take it too much to heart, but the sisters painted as kind of a villain, right? Like she's snooty and high and mighty, but I would argue, and maybe the movie meant to do this, and I'm just kind of missing it, that how are you supposed to talk to this woman? She doesn't let anyone in. She actively fights everyone. Her son is acting like a crazy person, Like, how do you relate to her? How do you help her if she doesn't want to be helped? So the sister's painted as kind of a bad guy, and and it's just a way to isolate the mom. But that's kind of my critique. It's just this kind of, the movie is so good and heady and doesn't paint with broad strokes, except when it comes to the sister and her friends. Then it's like, oh, they're all vapid gold diggers, like kind of meh.
Yeah,
but
also
you have to isolate her.
You isolate her, but it's also too like she chooses to isolate herself as well. So like I think it also goes with the whole ruse of like, maybe that's how she views her kid as violent and terrifying, but he's, like you said, he's preparing for the Babadook and he doesn't know how to deal with it. She views her sister as vapid and closed off and not caring because she's pushing her away. So maybe that's just her I know you hate this phrase, the unreliable narrator, as that's how she's viewing the world in a way.
I'll allow that. Yeah, and it's a minor critique because, like, I didn't know if you're supposed to feel like in that kitchen scene where the friends are like, trying to be nice to her, and they say something it's not sensitive, but it's not so overtly insensitive to her, and she just like freaks out on the friend. I looked at her as the bad guy. I'm like, you're an asshole. Like, that person wasn't being mean to you. They may have not been completely sensitive because they didn't know they were being insensitive, but you acting like that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, I think it ties into the whole idea of like people don't know how to deal with people who have trauma. Like everyone tries to be kind, but then at some point they're like, well, you got to get over it because life moves on. But it's like, well, you're not the one going through it. So it's like that kind of confusion of how do you deal with those things?
And this may be extracting my own things out of it, which fuck it, that's what a movie's for.
That's what art is.
It kind of does this dance where yes, people need to be sensitive to your trauma, but you are responsible for how you deal with your trauma. You know what I mean? Like, so people need to understand her situation, but she needs to conquer the Babadook, and she is responsible for what she does under the influence of the Babadook.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree.
So I like it's so smartly written, and the more we discuss it, the more I realize how brilliantly it is constructed. And I think the writer may not even have meant to be as brilliant as it is. They keep it so simple and so concise that it allows audiences to take what they need out of it.
Well, she's a writer-director, and this is kind of how all of her films kind of... I'm a fan. She only has a couple things. She obviously, I always talk about it, The Nightingale, which is the most horrifying movie in a horror film. And then the Cabinet of Curiosities. She did the bird one. I can't remember what it's called right now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
so
I could see that then.
Yeah, well, that's what her horror is. Horror is more emotionally kind of grounded and stuff.
Charged.
But it's a lot of like simple story ideas that are elevated by the characters dealing with something, and that kind of drives them towards their goal.
Well, I mean, there's a lot I guess we could discuss about the Babadook, but I think we've kind of covered it. Is there anything else you want to say? Like, I just say it's an incredible horror movie. It's not too long. I think it's an hour and a half, which I will always praise people for keeping a movie to an hour and a half now. I'm so sick of 2.5 hour movies. Like, goddamn. It's concise. It's quick. It gets its themes across. It uses the horror perfectly. And it's thrilling. It's everything. It's a very well-made movie. And I was very happy to have seen it.
Yeah, it's got enough jump scares to keep normal people kind of into it, but there's also a lot of great just like not jumpy, but you just sit there and linger on those shadows, and it's enough to be like, that's enough to make me creeped out.
Yeah.
Any other movies on your list that kind of fall under this kind of category of horror, like some kind of entities in the house, maybe like a spirit or ghost type of thing?
There's a movie I remember with Eric Bana, and I don't want to say this is a good movie. It's not good.
Deliver Me from Evil.
I remember it being scary.
That's the one where he's a
but
cop,
I was
right?
younger.
He's a cop, right?
Yep. Yeah, and like an Iraq veteran brings back a demon or something.
Yes, and it's like in a zoo, and he's some kind of Brooklyn cop, and he's trying to solve it. I never saw it, but I remember.
He's like, "Hey, ghost, get out of here!"
It's based on a quote unquote true story.
True story. Yeah.
That's what I hate about the 2000s and onward. Everything's based on a true story, and it's like insulting. Which I'll tie in later to another movie.
I remember. I'm trying to think of like good horror. Like The Exorcist always comes to my mind. Like nothing. That's the only other movie other than this that I would say scared me. And Exorcist isn't scary. It's unsettling.
Well, I think this movie does what The Exorcist does too. It's isolating. Because The Exorcist, you connect to the mother, because the mother has literally tried everything she can do to fix this. And after all the science has failed her, which ties into our other movie later, like after all science fails, she turns to the most superstitious thing possible because everything else. That's so isolating. Of like, I can't help my daughter. So that's why I love The Exorcist. We should have talked about that, I guess, instead of the movie I picked since you hate it so much.
I hated it, but The Exorcist always... The only problem I have with The Exorcist, and it's just kind of something, I don't know as a writer how you get around it, is when, they take in an obviously possessed child that's like green eyes and vomiting neon, and it's like... And they're like, classic seizure.
Hey,
like...
Come
on, man.
I fully respect it. First of all... The people in Exorcist aren't that's why I like it though. It's a rational, science-minded movie where science fails. That's why I like that movie. It's so effective to me, at least. It's like we tried everything, and all these experts are sitting around a panel going, "Fuck me, I don't know what's wrong with this bitch."
Oh, if I was a doctor, the first thing I would say is someone came in like, "Hey, you want to fuck me, Jesus?" I'd be like, "You should seek a priest."
And that's why you're not a doctor.
I'm only an amateur doctor. I play one on TV.
You only have a stethoscope and you conduct physicals out of your van.
I do a lot of mammograms.
A movie that and I just saw. I just said her name. A movie that my wife and I just saw in theaters, actually. That's why I retake the take. A movie that we just saw was The Boogeyman. It's a Stephen King short story. It's a movie. And I thought it was going to be trash. And it's actually pretty good. It's very similar to The Babadook, where it's like creepy creature in the shadows dealing with trauma. The rules of The Boogeyman aren't very clear, but what they didn't skimp on was the actors. They picked like good amateur actors, like the girls from a TV show called Yellow Jackets, and she's really good. The main teenager, the little girl's fine. The dad's someone, I recognize him, but it's all about the darkness and what's lying in the dark there. They open up with a horrifying first couple scenes to let you know like it's a serious thing going on. So check out The Boogeyman's in theaters. Like I thought it was going to be trash, and it's pretty good. It's much better than it has a right to be for a Boogeyman movie.
Stephen King is very hit or miss, especially interpretations of Stephen King.
Hey, like people take these good ideas and make them better. The design of the Boogeyman is like generic, but at the very end, it like unlocks its jaw and shows its real form. I'm like, oh, that's super effective. So it's interesting. Like it is much better than it has any goddamn right to be. Another haunting movie from recent years is The Hereditary. Hereditary is pretty fucking phenomenal. That's a family like haunting one that kind of takes you in different terms. You might not like it. It's pretty melodramatic. Like it's like The Exorcist being like a drama with horror in it, but this one's a little more melodramatic because it involves children dying. So then like the parents are obviously much more emotionally distraught about it, but that's a phenomenal like haunting movie as well. I have some more, but they tie into the other movies, so I'll jump into the other ones later for recommendations.
All right. So Ronnie, what film did you choose?
Okay, I picked 1982's film Poltergeist.
The house looks just like the one next to it. And the one next to that. And the one next to that. A young couple live in it.
Give Ken a kiss.
You are so obnoxious.
With their 3 children. And something more.
They're here.
Here is my synopsis. The most average American family ever to America bought a haunted TV and ignored their clairvoyant dog, so their daughter gets kidnapped by patriotic ghosts. The parents are dumb, so don't believe in closing curtains or blinds or using condoms since they have 3 fucking kids, and don't tell their daughter to not talk to strangers. The stoned out hippies assume it's not evil, so they fuck with it and regret it pretty goddamn quick. They go to Peter Venkman's college to get paranormal quote-unquote experts to help who are way in over their head. They finally get a tiny southern Zach Baggins to tie a rope around themselves and jump headfirst into the KY jelly Twilight Zone to save the child of the corn. All things are good until the final act in which we learn that corporate monsters are too cheap to move the dead bodies out of the cemetery, and the haunting continues until the Freelings say fuck this noise and leave and close their goddamn curtains. And you say TVs are bad for you. The movie is sponsored by Lucasfilm.
You moved the tombstones, but you didn't move the bodies, did you?
Okay. I love Poltergeist. It's a classic. I own it, and I watch it pretty frequently. In October, Shane, tell me, this is your first viewing of Poltergeist. Bitch about it while I sip my beer and just shake my head.
My wife and I ended the movie and went, that sucked. I'm going to have an unpopular opinion. I can already just feel it, and I don't care. I'll first start off with Poltergeist is not a bad movie. It's not like I watched it and I was like, that was, an assault on the senses. Like, it's an okay movie. It's serviceable to me. I had never seen it until tonight, so I had the expectation of like something that was going to change my life, because obviously I've seen like the shot from outside the house. I've seen you left the bodies, didn't you? Like they're here. There's all the cult of Poltergeist that I know of, but I hadn't seen the movie, and maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much. I was underwhelmed, and maybe I will give you this if I could see it from the lens of 1982. Like if I was someone in 1982, how it would affect me, because I have such a genre now. But then I remember that Alien was made in 1979, so this movie can suck my balls. I'll start with some just overall complaints. The score makes no sense. It's like like, and you're like, I thought this was supposed to be terrifying.
Okay, so let me...
And it isn't.
Contrary to that. So I like the score because it starts out with like nursery rhymes, and it's cutesy to kind of help you feel like the innocence, and it's unassuming, and eventually gets more ethereal. But okay, I could see as a complaint if you think it's too circus clown.
Yeah, it doesn't build the horror that I feel like it should feel. I won't complain about the visuals, because it's 1982. They took a big swing at a thing. That would be just stupid to bitch about it. I think they did a good job with what they had.
For the Oscar-nominated visual effects, yeah. Bitch about the 40-year-old Oscar.
Star Wars was in 70... No,
and that looks like shit, too. God damn it.
I'm not going to bitch about the visuals. Like, that's dumb to even say. Like, it's good for its time and what they tried to do. And I like the room and the portal thing. I dig all that.
The more
Stranger Things
stuff
is the most unoriginal thing I've ever seen in my life now, though.
Thank you.
Wow. Just not even an homage, just shameless ripping.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to get into why. Okay, Poltergeist is not The Exorcist. It's not The Babadook. It's not The Shining. It's a good haunting movie, so you went in with the wrong expectation. It's a Steven Spielberg,
I guess so,
produced thing, so it's schmaltzy. It's basically like a sitcom.
Very.
Horror. It's like a sitcom. It's goofy and silly, but I think the filmmaking is effective. But it's definitely not The Babadook. So I get why you're not into it. I think it stands test of time and think it's phenomenal. I'll get to the motifs, but continue your bitching about this 40-year-old movie.
I'll give you that I may have gone in with the wrong expectations. I went in expecting to be scared, creeped out, things like that, and maybe that's just not what it was intended to do. Next, I don't think the acting's bad. I think the directing of the acting is bad. So the actors in this have moments where they're really good, but they don't act appropriately for the situation that they're in. I'm okay with the wife being kind of like, oh my God, the chair moves across the room. And then the dad's like, no, this is fucked. I like all that. But when the daughter goes missing, she gets sucked into the portal. They are not, the dad is. I never have an issue with how the dad is acting, pretty much. But the mom is not acting like someone who just lost their daughter to the after. You know what I mean? Everyone's too okay with this all. Everyone's too jokey. And I don't blame the actors. I think the director wasn't giving the proper input and correcting these things. Because it's almost like a house of jokes, which would be funny if the whole family was there. I think if you took this approach and the daughter hadn't been sucked into the afterlife, then it's kind of funnier. Like, yep, welcome to our haunted house. We can't escape. And then the paranormal people are like, what the fuck? Like, that makes more sense to me. But with the daughter being sucked in with those kind of stakes, this is where I do give credit to Stranger Things in that you would be distraught. You would be a mess. You'd be freaking out. You'd be doing whatever you could, and you would be inconsolable and borderline psychotic. That makes more sense to me. They're all too okay. The only person that is perfect is the daughter. She is like, what the fuck is going on? I'm freaking out. This is fucked.
Would your family welcome a serious investigation of these disturbances by someone who can make first-hand observations?
Dr. Lish, we don't care about the disturbances. The pounding and the flash. The screaming. The music. We just want you to find our little girl.
You were saying about poltergeist?
Poltergeist are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area, a house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Are you telling me that all of this could just suddenly end at any time?
Yes, it could. Unless it's a haunting. But hauntings don't usually revolve around living people.
Then we don't have much time, Dr. Lush, because my daughter is alive somewhere inside this house.
This is probably going to seem a little strange.
Fuck this.
But it's so weird. And it goes in and out of like, this is disaster, this is awful, I'm freaking out, to quirky and funny and the tonally, it was just off-putting for me. I think the mom should have been sadder, freaking out more. The dad, I think, is perfect. The daughter, I think, is perfect. And I do like the paranormal people. I do like that they come in like, oh, whatever. And then they're like, oh, shit. What the fuck is this? Like, I'm okay with that. But if they were going to do the direction that the movie did, I think the daughter shouldn't be missing. I think the daughter shouldn't be sucked into the portal. Once she is, you need to raise the emotional freak out more.
I think they do. So I totally disagree. So I get like the mom is the more hippy dippy kind of one, but like she also has, so I think what ties into this is when the medium and the paranormal expert, she says, I'm a psychologist, I don't know what the fuck's going on, I'm in over my head. I really respect the idea, the fact that these people don't know what they're doing. But she says, like, the spirits aren't inherently evil. The problem isn't the spirits. The problem are the people. So, like, that moment when, like, she comes down the stairs and she feels Caroline, like, there's that idea of, oh, this isn't necessarily evil. And then they all come down the stairs. They're not evil. So, like, I get that the wife, I like the dad's performance. Craig T. Nelson's perfectly just like...
He does really good.
He's emasculated. I can't do anything. I like the wife is different because she's trying to see a positive in this. And I think she screams enough, freaks out enough. But your point of like, well, they're not emotionally always upset. I'm like, well, they have to live a life still. People come in and out. There's jokey. So I think it works well, but it's not the traditional kind of like, the mom is screaming and locked in a room and can't move. I think she's more open to finding a thing. The dad seems just like, I don't know what to do. I'm literally giving up on this. So I think they're dealing with it a little differently. He's more like emotionally distracted because he's gone half the time working, doing this, and it's his half the fault why the houses are built. So he's like not connected. So he's feels out of it, and the wife probably feels more to blame, but she's trying to find that solution to fix it. And I also like that they're kind of going by the seat of their pants. You tie a fucking rope and throw tennis balls. Like it's not like like you said, like they're experts. It's not like you have to do this secret incantation. The dad's doesn't even believe the medium. He's like making fun of her because she's silly, but then she proves herself to be knowledgeable. And even in the end, she's like telling the spirits, you can go to the light now. He's like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Don't tell him to do that. And he starts panicking. Like they're all just trying to make it out of this, and there's no expert kind of thing. So I think it works. I can see why. I can see why it might be cheesy and a little goofy and a little uneven, but I think it's almost like a horror comedy kind of in a way. There's a lot of like sitcom-y kind of shit, but that's the whole Spielberg part of it. He wrote this, produced it. According to IMDb, he mostly directed it. Tobe Hooper was kind of pushed out of the way. He did Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a bunch of other lower kind of budget stuff, but it seems like he and Spielberg kind of clashed on who had full control. And ironically, Spielberg is directing E.T. at the time. So like he's literally doing 2 movies at once. So it's not. I think
Spielberg should have kept his hands out of this one because I can feel Spielberg in it, and I like Spielberg a lot, but him and horror doesn't mix for me.
I think it works in that like you get a wider range of people liking this movie. I think that's why it's so popular. If it was Tobe Hooper and it was less melodramatic and less cutesy, it'd be more of a cult kind of classic. So Spielberg getting his dirty hands on it makes it
dirty more, corporate fingers all over it.
But also you get a bigger budget. You get Spielberg involved. You have like you get
Kathleen
like,
Kennedy.
I could talk about you have Frank Marshall, same people, but I can get into like the haunting behind all of it too. But like it would be a different movie because Tobe Hooper apparently was doing the first cuts of it, and then Spielberg had final cut of it and stuff like that. So there's a whole thing going on. So it works for me, but I see your perspective. I can see why this seeing it 40 years later for the first time, and maybe the hype, and also the cultural phenomena like South Park, Scary Movie, it's so spoofed
you can
to a point
see
where
it
it's
everywhere.
It's a joke. It's ridiculous, but it works for me. So I can see why I wouldn't for you.
Yeah. Like Stranger Things first season, I really liked. I still really like it. But now seeing this, it's almost off-putting. Where I'm like, Jesus, guys, you're not even paying homage. You literally stole all of it. There's not an original thought in Stranger Things. They literally took the top 5 most famous 80s things and just put it on there. And maybe the writers would be like, oh, that's what we meant to do. But it seems dirty now.
Oh, where you been for the past 10 years, this cultural phenomenon, the things that I gave up on years ago. So speaking of motifs, like this is what Poltergeist either took or made popular. Like this is 82, man. This is 3 years after Alien. This is like the beginning of slasher films, and then you have these old like 60s haunting house where it's like, oh, creepy gothic house. This one is the most terrifying place in the world, suburban America, and it's showing like all these simple, easy things now become terrifying. The static TV, which is hilarious to me nowadays because you have modern movies with like HD TVs that have static. I'm like, that's not how static. Like that's not how that works. The static is from the cable connection, not the TV itself. Cute but creepy girl talking to voices. You have a haunted house visited by, the experts come in there. Horror movie posters. Did you see Alien in the background?
I saw a lot of references in the background.
That started the whole thing. That's what Ridley Scott did that with does it with his horror movies. Tobe Hooper, Spielberg, and Wes Craven. They all put horror movies in their poster. And they all kind of shout out older movies like that. It's a whole thing that's done in the 80s. Sleepwalking, you got that tied in there. The kitchenware and chairs moving between the cuts, which is a cool little edit there. I like that a lot, but that's a staple now in horror movies when things are moving.
Yeah.
The ridiculous medium, like a goofy character in this case, a dwarf southern with a southern belle with an accent.
It's I was like, what? I wish I wasn't high. Because when the tree reached in and took the kid, I started just uncontrollably laughing. And the tree's eating him. I was like, no, the ends have turned.
I like that they leave the haunted house, but they don't leave it. Like they're like, oh, I'll be back later. It's like, what the fuck is the dad doing? Is the dad cheating on the wife? Because like, where is he at that he's not getting his family out there immediately? Right. Portals into new dimensions. You mentioned that one. Climbing up the walls. Obviously, The Exorcist, but this one's really like this one's really off-putting when she's like half naked doing it. It's like, oh, this is kind of really. It's almost like out of the wrong movie kind of thing. It's like it's very kind of like exploitative. The endless hallway run, classic as well, and then finally the keys in the car don't work. So this movie has the motifs. It's got like all the horror things.
I wish the pool guys would have died. Like, they are disgusting. Like, it's supposed to, they hit on a middle schooler?
Oh, she's older than that, because she talks about fucking. She talks about being in the motel and getting high and...
Oh, yeah, but still, man, construction workers,
Oh, yeah.
it's so off-putting from modern lens.
Well, it's 80s
Maybe in
sleaze.
82 it was funnier. Yeah.
It's 80s
And then he's,
sleaze.
like, drinking their coffee and eating their
Yeah.
chili, and I was like, fuck you, you perv.
But that's why I like that. I don't like that stuff morally. I like the stuff in the movie because it's the unassuming. It's like this perfect suburban house, these perfect little model homes. Nothing bad happens there because there's nothing spooky there. But underneath the literal like rottenness of the house is something terrifying. That's like, get the fuck out of here. Shane, off the top of your head, how many people die in this movie?
Let me think. No one.
Mm-hmm.
No
dead
one
bodies.
dies.
It's like
other than the ones that were already deceased.
Yeah. Then the bird, Tweety dies. But
bird
really,
is
like,
killed.
it's almost like a family. I saw this super young. The scene that still is in my brain is when he's pulling. It looks goofy now. He's pulling the chunks of skin off his face and the eating. Like, that stuck with me my entire life. All the creepy spirits, like the Ghostbusters type spirits flying around, this and that. Which the score listening to this time, I was like, I think Elmer Bernstein stole the score for Ghostbusters because this is 2 years before Ghostbusters. It's very much the ethereal and kind of goofiness. Because I thought
very Ghostbusters-esque.
I thought Jerry Goldsmith did Ghostbusters. I was like, is this the same producer, composers? I looked up, I'm like, nope, someone just stole it. Fuck that clown. Clowns are awful and evil.
Oh yeah.
I like that they're embarrassed. The mom's like embarrassed of the situation, and no one knows anything. I think that's great. Like, they're just like clueless. They say we don't go to the cops because they're gonna think we're crazy. So they're just absolutely clueless. Right. Even like the paranormal experts are pretty clueless. Like the ghosts want to be famous. They turn the camera on themselves and say, "We want to be popular. Come on, put us on this Discovery Channel, please." This line's perfect. Like when the scuzzy developer is talking to Craig T. Nelson, and he says, "Oh, it's not some Native American burial ground. These are just people," implying Native Americans are not people. Love that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was a Pet Cemetery reference.
Maybe. I just thought it was funny. It's like, oh no, these are just people. These are real people.
These are people. They're not natives.
I like the idea. I mentioned that ghosts are organic and spiritual. They're not necessarily evil. And then the Zelda. I don't know what her fucking name is. The medium says they're not evil. But this one's fucking mad. It's raging back there, and it's like it's not the spirit.
They're not evil, but this one's totally evil.
This one's pissed. Last thing is. Last thing that's cracking me up was the scene where the psychologist is talking to the mom and the kid sitting there, and they're kind of like laughing and talking about, the spiritualism, and then like the Steven Spielberg score flares up. I know, makes you want to throw up, but she's describing the ghosts and say, "Oh, they're passengers who just kind of sit around and don't know what to do with their life." I'm like, oh, that's you and I. We sit around and just talk about shit and are angry about movies. I'm like, oh, that's us. It's the Waste of Potential podcast. We are the ghosts.
I forgot to mention we're dead.
But yeah.
And Ronnie's pissed.
I'm raging that you hate this movie.
There is no death. It is only a transition to a different sphere of consciousness. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. She is a living presence in their spiritual earthbound plane. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves.
That guy has no ass, and I have a policy of not trusting a man with no ass.
I have no ass.
Yeah, and I don't trust him as far as you could throw him.
It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures.
That was some riveting commentary with like some really insightful stuff. Do you think her tits are big enough for this role?
That's a big bitch.
Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Oh, and he played football at Notre Dame because he's an all-American man.
And he loves children.
And he really loves children.
There's one more thing. A terrible presence is in there with her.
Okay, so right now the only 2 black people. Never mind, I take it back. 3 black people. 4. Oh my god, this is 90s diverse.
This film is
5.
so representative.
So much rage, so much betrayal. I've never sensed anything like it.
Who would you throw yourself in front of a missile before, except your wife? Besides your wife, who'd you throw yourself in front of a missile for?
Glenn Close.
You didn't say me. I'm very upset. I'm very hurt.
In front of a missile?
Yeah, for me.
Like, Glenn Close. She's not in enough movies. We haven't seen enough of her.
I've been editing this podcast for 2 goddamn years. I'm upset.
It keeps Carol Ann very close to it and away from the spectral light. It lies to her.
I thought he was going to kiss that kid on the lips.
It says things only a child can understand.
Do you think she has nice tits? I think she has nice tits.
It has been using her to restrain the others. To her, it simply is another child. To us, it is the beast.
Muslim away. Oh, missile. Oh, that's a Muslim. I like it. I can see why you don't. So it doesn't make me mad. It's not like a movie that I hold as a classic. I think it's a classic in the way of its motifs and how it's executed and done in a way. But the story is super simple.
Yeah, I kind of view this like how I do Blade Runner, where a lot of people think that the first Blade Runner is like the greatest sci-fi movie and all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not into it. And I think I'm that way with Poltergeist. I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie. I'm not gonna say that like, oh shit and stuff. I disagree with some choices, and I just it didn't hit me the way that all these people tell me it should. And yeah, I was like, if you ask for a recommendation for Poltergeist from me, I'm just gonna be like, I mean, if it's free, yeah, watch it. Whatever. But I'm not gonna be like, this is the movie. Like, I will tell everyone to watch the Babadook.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'll tell people just watch the YouTube hits of Poltergeist, also known as Airbud 4: The Exorcism.
I think the Poltergeist is a good horror month kind of one, but I don't like. I'd say I agree with you. I recommend the Babadook way more than I would Poltergeist. But Poltergeist is like a staple. And I think it's there for a reason, but I don't think you're going to watch it now and be changed, because I think it's 40 years old and it's dated in a lot of ways. But I was thinking about other kind of ghost stories as well. I was thinking like The Sixth Sense. That's one. That one that I think that one holds.
I almost chose that one.
Yeah, it's a great one. I think it holds up too, because it has a twist, but the movie works without the twist. The twist is just an extra little cherry on top, which I think we discussed this when we did Signs and Lady in the Water. I think M. Night Shyamalan has forgotten that the movie can't be a twist. The twist is extra. It adds to it. It's a good mystery horror. I think another good mystery horror that goes along with that is
he's like a magician that keeps doing the same trick. You're like, do something else.
Come on.
He's like, no, but where did the quarter go? You're like, it's behind your ear, you fuck.
Residency in Vegas is getting stale. There's one that I wanted to do for this one, but I'm going to save it for another one. It's kind of horror mysteries, The Black Coat's Daughter. That's a great one that we'll spoil at some point. Check that one out. I was thinking of a ghost story that's not a horror. There's one called The Ghost Story, which I want to make you watch because you'll hate me. I think it's only 90 minutes.
We should have watched Ghost.
We can watch Ghost. Yeah, there you go. But Ghost Story is a 90-minute movie, and it's like a cerebral art house film where a girl eats a pie for 10 minutes and then throws it up, and it will make you miserable. But it's literally a ghost story, but it's not a horror. It has all the ghost tropes in it, but it's not a horror. It's just like this ghost is sitting around in this house for 100 years watching the world develop around him, and he can't do anything. It's just like, and he's watching all these people come into his house and ruin it, and he's watching all these. It's like a romantic, cerebral art house thing about ghosts. And I'm like, this is the most unique movie I've ever seen, but it's not for everyone.
Sounds fun.
It's really great, but you have to be in a mood for it because nothing happens in the entire film. When I was a kid,
Danny wasn't invited on this because he tried to make Casper his choice.
He would have.
Told him to fuck off.
I swear to God, he probably would have. The Exorcism of Emily Rose was the one I liked as a teenager. I have not rewatched. It's like a half courtroom drama, half exorcism movie. So I like that kind of genre blend.
Yeah.
Last one is Mike Flanagan's a great director. He has all these what do you call them? Series on Netflix, The Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor. My favorite one's Black Mass, and then he has The Midnight Club, and they're all like these genre-bending horrors, and they're subtle, and they're like half of them are haunted house movies. Black Mass is like his focal point about religion and its effect on people, and The Midnight Club is like a throwback Stranger Things kind of more like kids dealing with death, and then they tell each other stories. So those are all phenomenal. So check those things out if you like horror that's atmospheric, that kind of blends into this.
Nice. Should we go on to our next film?
The one
Not Constantine?
Let's go to the one I wrote down, Not Van Helsing. It gave me some Van Helsing vibes. Hardcore. Check out our podcast on Van Helsing. But yeah, go ahead, Shane. Bring in the Pope's Exorcist.
Father Gabriele Amort. On the night of June 4th, you performed an exorcism.
That was not an exorcism.
98% are recommended by him to doctors and psychiatrists.
The other 2%, I call it evil.
We have more questions for you, Father Amort.
You have a problem with me? You talk to my boss, the Pope.
In a world where people remember Russell Crowe from Gladiator, Russell Crowe agrees to do a film because he'll be in an all-black robe so you can't see anything but his fat fucking fingers. Russell Crowe, after spending 3 weeks on the Babbel app learning Italian, decides that he's going to make an Exorcist movie where he, Father Amorth?
Depends on who's speaking.
Van Helsing goes, and he is Mr. Badass. I don't give a fuck. You can't handle the truth. I do what I need to do. Exorcist. But he answers to one god, the Pope.
Who rides
and he is fighting a modernizing Catholic Church who wants to get rid of the old ways, but they don't understand that evil's real. It's not just something fake. He gets tasked by the Pope himself to go to this abbey in Spain, which was inherited by an American family.
It was
what?
It was in the American. Well, they look ethnic. They look Spanish, right? It's in Spain, and her husband inherited it from his family. It was in his generations, or his family, and then they decided to go there and fix it up a la horror movie style.
Wouldn't the Catholic Church own the abbey?
Yeah, so the Catholic Church is basically gonna like consecrate it as holy ground. So like she's letting them remodel it because she wants to sell it to the Catholic. It's the house plot is there. It's just fucking don't worry about the plot.
Okay. So they decide to leave their home in America to go live in this dilapidated abbey because their father died. Whatever. We have the most off-putting insertion of music featuring the Cult. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Fat Russell Crowe on a Ferrari Vespa.
And then also, the song was just in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's We Care a Lot. What's that band? I hate that band, but whatever that band is. Oh, the Epic. No, the song by Epic. What's the fucking band's name? Whatever. Continue. I'll look it up.
Whatever. So they go to this abbey and they discover there's a hole in a wall, obviously, because there's voices go.
Faith No More.
And there's a demon.
Faith No More.
The son. What was it?
Faith No More.
Faith.
I'm sure that was ironically chosen by the name of the band.
Whatever. So fucking dumb. So the son gets taken by a possession. We're introduced to Russell Crowe, where he goes to this house. He does an exorcism with a pig, saying like, "Oh, if you're so cool, can you possess this pig?" And then they shoot the pig when the demon goes in it.
The demon falls to the oldest trick in the oldest book. That's a Bible reference. We're sitting there watching it, and I was telling my wife, "Oh, that's stupid. That's in the Bible, because in the Bible, Jesus sends the demon into pigs and over a cliff." I was like, that demon fell for the literal oldest trick in the book.
For being centuries and millennia old, demons really don't learn anything.
Morons.
So we're established that Russell Crowe is a badass. Doesn't give a fuck.
Fat ass. You said it wrong. You said badass. You meant fat ass.
Fat ass that doesn't give a fuck. And he is sent by the Pope to this abbey where a mysterious phrase is, "The church has dealt with this place before."
Yeah.
And I literally looked at my wife and I was like, it was the Inquisition.
Hey,
it's in Spain. It's an issue from the past. It's the Inquisition. And she's like, would you stop it? And I was like, it's the Inquisition. I was like, they probably murdered a bunch of people in this fucking church, and now there's a demon there. It turns out to be a whole lot more. I was giddy.
Whoa,
I was like, yay!
Let's just say this. The first hour is like cookie cutter, boring horror, and then the last 30 minutes is bonkers, and it's hilarious.
Bat shit.
It's tons of fun by the last 30 minutes. But yeah, that was fun. I had to explain what the Spanish Inquisition is to my wife. It's funny that you and I just like history, and it so happens to work out that we always talk about Catholic history.
If there's something I can say about myself is I have a vat of useless information stored in my head. But if you ask me to do anything that is helpful in day-to-day life, I am worthless to you.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah. So Fat Russell Crowe goes to the Abbey. He walks in. He encounters the child and is like, oh, yep, that kid's fucking possessed.
Fuck this.
After that, and he goes, yeah, that's fucked.
Okay, let's talk about this. There's two things I want to say. First thing, why is the demon a silly British demonic voice? He's got a British accent, and it keeps throwing me. I'm like,
hello there, puppet.
I'm going to fucking fleece your soul there, mate. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And secondly, he figures we get introduced to all this shit. He knows the boy is possessed like 30 or 40 minutes into the movie. So I turn to my wife and say, okay, so now we're doing demon possession things 40 minutes in. What the fuck's going to happen for the next hour? And don't worry, the movie said, hold my beer. We'll take you all the way there, but like they don't waste any time to get you to the full possession of a child doing, exorcist fuck me priest shit. Like,
it's like if someone just watched like a compilation of The Exorcist and said, "Oh, I can make a movie."
Or every Exorcist movie ever.
Yeah.
It is just every little thing. Fuck
But-
me, Jesus. Fuck me, priest. The priest is a whore. Like it's fucking whores. It's got everything in there.
But it doesn't know how to do it. It's like someone that watched it and went, "Oh, I could do that," and then they have no idea what they're fucking doing because he does the whole like, "Hello there, Gabe. I'm gonna fuck you, and you're gonna like it, and you're gonna come as I fuck you," and you're like, "Okay, this is gross. I'm supposed to be off put, but like, play that next to the Exorcist scene, and the Exorcist scene fucks you up. You go like, oh God," but in this, you're just like, huh?
Well, like in Exorcist, the big reveal is that the demon knows Damien's sins, and he basically says like, "I'm using those against you." The movie throws it in there in the first 30 minutes, so it has nowhere to go besides all the way to hell, literally. So like the climax of better Exorcist movies is the first half of this movie. It's just like, where the fuck are you gonna go now? And it's like, wait.
Okay, I'll just get through this and then we can go piece by piece why this movie is dog shit, but somehow entertaining dog shit.
Yeah.
So Russell Crowe goes, yeah, that kid's fucked. And they start doing some exorcism. It doesn't really work. The demon's ultra powerful, but not Satan, because that's just too much. It's the next in line to Satan.
But that's the whole like Exorcist thing. Because remember the original Exorcist, he says, "Oh, that's why I think the demon's not real," because she says, "I'm literally Satan himself," and like that's not a thing that people believe. So it takes it from better movies.
Yeah, but so Russell Crowe uncovers the Spanish Inquisition was here, but somehow the Spanish Inquisition is not really painted in a bad light. It was just a oopsie.
Oh no, it's worse than that.
So the demon, who we find out his name is Osmodeus.
Imodium?
Imodium, yeah, ammonium nitrate. So Osmodeus had possessed a friar who then possessed the top exorcist in the Catholic Church, who then went back and convinced the Queen of Spain to initiate the Inquisition. So the Inquisition was actually Satan's work and not the Catholic Church. We're all absolved of our sins now, Catholic Church.
That's everything wrong with the Catholic Church is they're trying to do a reverse history.
Yeah, it was Satan. He possessed a priest. We're sorry, but it wasn't really our fault. It was Satan.
Same thing with all those little boys. That was Satan. It was a lot of Satan.
And then, in the dumbest twist ever, Osmodeus is back again to possess the the Pope's exorcist in 1987, when the church has zero power, and he wants to reinstitute the Inquisitions and do evil upon the world. I don't know if this demon knows it's 1987, where secular governments and atheist governments run the world. So how the fuck is the Catholic Church going to do anything?
The Catholic Church is still one of the most powerful, like, conglomerates of people. I get it. It's ridiculous because it's not 700 years ago, but they still have a lot of goddamn pull to hide all these things and get people moved around. So trust me, they can do some fucking evil.
So then we find out, Russell Crowe finds out what it is. It's Osmodeus. He's attacked the church before, and he's back again. Yeah. So, but then he finds out that Osmodeus has the power to possess more than one person at the same time. He doesn't do anything with that. He just can.
Well, that's the thing is, like, they have this whole family dynamic that's forgotten, and they go, "Oh, by the way, since you have a bunch of kids, we can make them possess and make them bite shit." Like, it's all second nature, because they just wanted to get us down and to the point where Russell Crowe's possessed by a demon. Keep going.
So Russell Crowe teams up with a pedophile priest, and they use Osmodeus' name, but Osmodeus is too powerful until he's not. But he's too powerful, and he strikes a deal saying, if you let me possess you, Russell Crowe, I will leave the family alone. And so Russell Crowe gives himself up, and the demon goes in him. But Russell Crowe's too fat and powerful, and the demon can't take full control, so the family gets away, and Russell Crowe goes down to the demon crypt that was built somehow for some reason.
Yeah, 3 miles down in the Earth's crust, and he goes, really going into hell.
And Russell Crowe can't be tamed. So Osmodeus is burned alive and sent to hell, Van Helsing style, and then it's not over. Osmodeus is vanquished, and then Russell Crowe finds out that Osmodeus was planning to raise every demon that was cast from hell or heaven to rule the world, and so now him and pedophile priest are gonna go around, tasked by the Catholic Church in their Q lab from James Bond, and they task him with going to every site where a demon was buried and to vanquish each demon. And he goes, "Sounds like a team up." And they sequel bait.
And then insert Disturbed music.
Yeah. And Russell Crowe now with his partner is going to go and vanquish every demon that's buried on Earth. The end.
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
And somehow I was vaguely entertained. Like, I wasn't off-put by this movie. It was stupid, it was dumb, but it was just competent enough to watch it.
Yeah, the first hour is like generic horror, but I'm gonna give Russell Crowe this. He gives it his all. Russell Crowe
tried his ass off.
His accent is terrible. It's like watching the House of Gucci movie where the director did not care about the accents at all. But Russell Crowe hams it up, plays it serious. He actually tries like crying at some point. He's sweating like crazy, so you can't tell if it's tears or sweat. But
so hot.
But for a shit movie, I'm sure they paid him a lot of money, and he gives it his all. The other actors are terrible, but Russell Crowe shines like the diamond in the turd rough.
This film.
But I don't think Shane fully captures how crazy this is. In the last 30 minutes, I wrote down all of these things that happen. We get like these deep catacombs. We get a demon starting the Spanish Inquisition. We get Pope vomiting blood on another cardinal. We have a demon army being raised from hell. We have horse tranquilizers stabbed into the neck of a child. We have an Ozzy Osbourne-esque chewing off the head of a cardinal. Got it? Symbolism. You've got sexual. They mentioned the sexual abuse of the church.
Oh, yep. Catholic sexual abuse is mentioned.
He throws it in there in one line saying, "Oh, it must be the reasons why all these terrible abuses are coming out. I knew about it." And then
it was Satan, not our fault.
You have a literal demon takes a bathroom sink and crushes a child with it and doesn't die. No, sorry. The demon child takes hits the mom in the bathroom sink. You have bloody crucifixes bleeding out blood that attack a priest. You have priest suicide attempt. You have Russell Crowe sitting on a demon throne. You have Hellboy symbols everywhere going off. And you have exploding blood titties. And finally you end with demon lava. There
are titties in this film.
You have everything you want in the last 30 minutes. Like, this movie does not shy away and goes full Tropic Thunder by the end. It's just 100%. It goes for it. It is not afraid.
I have a suspicion that when they originally wrote it, they wanted an action film, like a Van Helsing kind of action film.
Mm-hmm.
But Russell Crowe was the star they got, and he's like, I'm not doing action.
No, I think this is the movie they wanted because... So do you know who Father Amorth is in real life?
I'm sure that the tale is a lot less whelming.
Okay, so Father Amorth was the literal highest ranked priest in the exorcist in the Catholic Church. That's where William Peter Blatty, who wrote the Exorcist novel, got it from. His diaries, the real things that Father Amorth did, like the sayings and stuff. It's all real Catholic dogma. I say real Catholic dogma, knowing the full oxymoron behind it. So it's based on his real things. So he was an exorcist, and the beginning is pretty real, where it's he was a psychologist not psychologist, but he was well versed in the reality of exorcisms aren't really real. They're not a thing that we do. They're just something that was in the past that we have hidden because you don't bring them back. And ironically, the movie The Exorcist is what brought that back into the light. So Father Amorth basically was a real priest. And then at the end of his life, he became an absolute nutter, and they made a documentary directed by William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist, where he tries to, quote-unquote, record a real exorcism that Amorth did before he died, and it's all trashy documentary shit. But, he's a real person that they
made a movie with, fucking what's his name? Hannibal Lecter.
The Anthony Hopkins, The Rite. Is The Rite made off him too? Okay. So, yeah.
That's his last exorcism.
Yeah, so these are all based on quote-unquote real cases. But, it's a real Catholic dogma thing, and I love how they take this, and the end of this movie has the audacity to say, Father Amorth conducted the most exorcisms in ever history, just like this.
Oh, yeah, and he goes, and he wrote his books, and then he goes, the books were good.
That's the reference to the movie when Russell Crowe says, the books are good.
Oh, my God. The pizza, was the spaghetti on my Ferrari.
I love that they do a full Jurassic Park where Russell Crowe is tying a rope around a thing in the rain. He's trying to pull it while terrible things are happening around him. It's like the Dennis Nedry thing, and also in Lost World with the T-Rexes. I'm like, oh, they do a Jurassic Park thing that made me giggle.
Seeing fat Russell Crowe on a Vespa is the funniest thing in the world. He's so fat.
And he's
his
the best part of
sausage
the movie.
fingers.
Yeah,
he is a gem in this.
Yeah, but...
because he's almost self-aware. Like,
yes, his character is though.
Yeah, he's definitely the best part.
His character is goofy. He flirts with nuns. He's
he's
nice with kids. He's cutesy. They make him actually a full-fledged goofball character. And then he fucks with the demons, which I got mad about this because I'm like, if you're gonna keep saying he's the most prideful priest out there, well then play into it. Then actually play into it, which they don't. But he's fucking with the demons, going, "Oh, tell me my name if you don't know who I am. Tell me my name." It's so ridiculous, but it's for what this is. I was never mad. I was laughing uncontrollably at other points, but I was never mad and frustrated. It was fun.
I had fun. I don't think the movie meant for me to have fun, but I had a lot of fun.
I think it's self-aware to know it's ridiculous, but I think that's what people kind of want sometimes. They want something trashy. Like, can you imagine if they took this seriously and Russell Crowe with his goofy accent and a big old belly on the Vespa and him? Like, can you imagine this is a serious film with Russell Crowe? Like, it would be god-awful and boring.
I think it didn't go enough. I think it should have gone full Constantine.
Do you want me to go back and read the things that happen again?
I wanted fucking machine guns with crucifixes put into the bullets. I wanted fucking, I don't know. But I got that. And let's just... Okay. So, Russell... okay. So the priest chokes a child, the pedophile priest, because he's like, I know you were sniffing panties. He's like, you shut the fuck up. and I thought they were going to play that he was a pedophile, but of course they don't, because that would be too much.
You can't make your hero a pedophile, Shane. Stop trying to do that. I know it's in your script, but stop trying to do it. So the priest was having sex with someone, and he told her to fuck off because he's going to still be a priest. Yeah. Very Catholic of him. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought with Russell Crowe, they went too light on his guilt. Like, if you're going to play that your main character has guilt from the war, it can't be that he was being too good of a person. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
His guilt is that he didn't take her seriously and then she killed herself. It was so light that it kept him still so heroic, and you're like, oh, so our hero's guilty for being a hero? You know?
That's
like,
because
he wasn't heroic enough.
It's because the writers saw The Exorcist, and they had to put something in about guilt and pride, and they just... Okay, this movie is trash. It's terrible. It has 10 million things rubbed into it, and it doesn't work, but it's fucking entertaining by the end. If you have the sense of humor of this shit gets batshit, and it's silly, and I think Russell Crowe just doing his all to ham it up keeps you entertained. Because imagine if it's some boring-ass actor. This movie wouldn't work, but Russell Crowe being who Russell Crowe is, are you not entertained? God damn it! Like this
I am so entertained.
Exactly, and it works in that way. And I watched this stone sober, 100% sober. So I enjoyed this sober and was laughing. So like this isn't just like me being like shit faced and stoned. This was like legitimately thing. And I think it has my favorite line of all 2023: "Bring me the pig."
I don't fuck my pig.
Yeah, I don't fuck my pig. Come here, little piggy, and they keep bringing it back. And I love it that the demon calls him Gabe and calls him piggy. He calls him fat. He knows Russell Crowe's fat.
He's like, you little servant. I think what they should have done with his guilt was when they referenced Rosaria, I thought they were going to be like, I was like, oh shit, he had sex with a demon. Like, I thought like he got seduced by someone that was possessed, and then, you know, I was like, that's pretty dark. That would be some guilt that you would carry on and be fucking hard and never actually absolve, you know?
That
but kind of they went really light.
Well, that would fit the whole thing of it too, but the weird thing is she wasn't possessed. She was just suicidal, and he ignored her. And I'm like, well, now I'm confused, because if you're a jack of all trades, and you would know, I'm not a psychologist, you need to get her help, not, I need to sit down with her and talk about her feelings and things. Like it's underdeveloped because this movie's shit. This movie's awful, God damn it, but I would recommend it to anyone who wants something that's silly. Like
I would argue, if you're like us, it's worth the $5 that I spent to rent it.
Oh yeah, I thought it was gonna be 20. I was like, God damn it, it was $5. I'm like, $6. Take my money, Amazon. I don't
take
mind.
my money, Russell Crowe.
It is, and it's short enough. It's 1 hour and 40, and the middle kind of lulls because it hits all the cliches, and then and they're going in the catacombs. It gets really boring. Of like, what is behind this gate? Oh, it must be a bad thing. Open up the gate. And I'm like, oh my God damn it, what's wrong with you moron?
I kind of enjoy it. I enjoy the Asmodeus. I enjoy that he infected or, took over the friar and it led to... It's so ridiculous, but like, that was fun to me in a way.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do this movie, yeah, fucking take it to 11, baby. Let's go.
And it does. And it's not slow, but it just has all the cliches for an hour. And then it makes you earn the silliness it ramps up to. And I'm a fan. Like,
yeah,
totally
it's
fan.
like you couldn't make this as awesome as it is if you were trying. It has to be inadvertent. It has to be incompetence.
No, but I think
to make it truly perfect.
I think they wanted to make this silly movie, and like it takes itself enough seriously, but also not too seriously enough. So I think a lot of the humor does come from it being so ridiculous, but I think they made the movie they wanted to make. I think this is what they wanted. I think they wanted like a movie that you'd go to the theater and like laugh and cheer for almost.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have gone a little more towards Constantine.
Sure.
But then it might have not been as charming. But I surprisingly had fun with The Pope's Exorcist. It is a shitter movie, but I left with a smile. Thank you, fat Russell Crowe.
So what Shane is saying is he enjoyed The Pope's Exorcist more than Poltergeist, ladies and gentlemen.
I did. I'm just kidding. And I review movies.
for different reasons. They're entertaining in different levels. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think our next genre we should probably get into should be horror comedy, maybe, because this made me just laugh, and I wrote down a couple horror comedies I like. So that might be our episode 4. But Shane, update on the script. Shane and I are working on Act 1 right now, so we're actively doing this, keeping it going here, and gonna keep watching some more movies and talking about it. So I think I'll really have an update on the script. We're moving a little slow here. I've been busy. God damn it.
Yeah, we'll get some momentum on it, and then we'll go. But like, we're actually keeping up pretty well on our pace and releases and stuff. Now that I can edit too.
I'm surprised. Look at you, big boy.
Figure now that I'm the editor in chief.
Yeah, exactly.
This podcast is really gonna go to the moon.
Fine with me. I'm tired of doing this shit. But speaking of scripts, Shane and I, as usual for their episodes, have each crafted a beautiful script for each other to make the other one read without seeing it first.
Who's gonna go first?
I put mine in the chat already, so you can open that first.
Okay, let's do yours first.
Okay.
The roommate.
Let's see. You're gonna be Rick. Okay, I'll be the narration, and I'll be Katie. You be Sheila and Rick. Okay.
All right. Let me. Oh, we're in Australia. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that Sheila and Rick were Australian born because my accents are shit. But I'll try my Aussie accent for Katie. Okay. The scene opens on the inside of a large, beautiful apartment in downtown Sydney, Australia. The camera focuses on the door, and as the lock unlocks, the doorknob turns, and 2 women walk in talking jovially.
Like I said, you never mix business with pleasure, but... You're no longer my client since you closed up the lease deal, so...
Getting closer. So?
Oh, fuck yeah.
No commentary. Sheila and Katie kiss. Wow, your apartment is amazing. The camera pans around.
Wait, we didn't read all the Yeah.
I did. The camera...
Yeah, go.
The camera pans around the spacious, well-furnished apartment. There's a beautiful window overlooking the ocean, and there is a vibrant nightlife surrounding. As Katie looks out the view, Sheila approaches her from behind and nuzzles her.
There's a great view in my bedroom too.
Sheila takes Katie's hand and they begin to walk through the apartment. They pass the beautiful kitchen, an open door to the bathroom, then a closed door. Katie's stopping. What's in that room? Ominous music begins.
No, it's just my roommate's bedroom. They're sleeping right now, so quietly continue our journey into my room.
Sheila does a cute little dance to entice Katie. No one can resist such a sexy dance. They continue to the bedroom, and commence some heavy kissing and petting. Middle school shit.
This is hot.
A noise is heard from outside Sheila's door. Katie looks up from her passionate locking of lips. What was that?
My roommate, most likely. But they probably don't know we're in here, so we should be good.
Wait, are you and your roommate like a couple?
No. Nothing like that. They're just very intrusive sometimes.
You locked the door, right? Scratching her head nervously.
Yeah, but they're a bit noisy. We should be good.
Nosy. Sheila resumes...
Yeah, they're nosy. They're not noisy.
Sheila resumes kissing and Katie goes back to being in the mood and thinking with her snatch. Enter Rick. Yeah, Rick.
Oi! You're really getting it down there, aren't you? I don't know why he's Irish.
Katie screams, "Ow!"
Calm down, Sheila. No reason to freak out. Is this your first threesome? Oh, fuck off, Rick. You may live here too, but it doesn't entitle you to pop in whenever.
Wait, is he a...
He's a ghost. I prefer a transparent person. Let's not be a twat. Fuck off, Rick. You're being a ghost cunt. Language, lady. So are we doing this?
Doing what?
We have a deal. I pay the rent, she brings in the dates. What do you say, miss?
Katie thinks about it. Well, I am a cryptozoologist, Major.
Perfect.
And scene.
That has to be the shittiest set of accents I've ever done. And I've done some pretty shitty accents.
Too many Aussies.
One of the harder ones.
I don't know. Russell Crowe inspired me to do Australian, so I was like, I'm gonna write an Australian script.
It's a theme. Just saying.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Open up mine. So there's only two characters. There's... it's further up in the chat above my second. It's stupid horror.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Hold up. The link will take you to... Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
So, real quick. You, Ronnie, are playing Father Xander. Muscular exorcist. You wear a trench coat, glasses, you have tribal tattoos, and you drive a black muscle car.
Fuck yeah.
People don't like the way you do your exorcisms, but god damn it, do you get results. You talk in a deep voice like Vin Diesel. Okay?
Perfect.
I will play the Pope and Sexy Mother and Demon.
I think I can handle those. Is that good?
All right, here we go.
Deeper. I think I can handle those. No, that sounds like I'm...
No. Like you're cool, like John Wick.
Okay. I'll talk gritty. Like
yeah, perfect.
Got it. Okay, sorry. Had to get in character.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. Scene opens deep in the Vatican. The Pope stands in front of Jesus on the cross. Outside, a black muscle car screeches to a halt, flames firing from the exhaust. The door swings open, and a muscular-bound man, Father Xander, walks in. Father Xander, jacked, wearing sunglasses indoors, with his tribal tattoos showing on his neck. He is Vin Diesel.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
It destroyed $60 million of priceless artifacts and took the virginity of 3 virgins, Xander.
That's what virgins are. They have their virginity intact. And the things I do are sometimes for holiness.
By God, you get the results, though. Your sins are absolved. But please, try to be a better Catholic.
But then, what's your job?
There is a demon, Xander, in a dark place.
Oh.
We have sent many before you, and they have all perished or failed. You are our last hope.
gotta stop improvising. What does the job pay?
1 million schmeckles.
Woo, that's a lot of schmeckles. That'll buy a pretty spot in heaven.
The Lord does not ask for tithing to feed the poor, Xander. You think this dope house was a gift? Merchandising, Xander.
Why are you Mel Brooks? Where am I going?
To the darkest place on earth, Xander. Cleveland, Ohio. Camera dramatically zooms in on Xander.
My God.
Xander turns dramatically. And Xander.
Yeah?
Kicks some ass.
Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum.
Xander pulls out 2 machine guns and begins firing them into the air. Then he gets in his car where 2 bikini-clad women are sitting and an altar boy as well. The black muscle car peels out. It has on the bumper sticker, it says 7 minutes in heaven. Xander walks into the house in the hellhole known as Cleveland, Ohio. There, a sexy lady in a crop top and Daisy Dukes answers the door. Oh my God! Thank God you're here!
Where is the demon?
It's upstairs. No one can defeat it.
I'm not no one. I'm the one. Wink.
Yeah, he winks at the sexy mom, and then she faints. Ah! Xander kicks in the door of the room. In this room is your classic demonic possession scene set up with a little boy tied to the bed. Father Xander, been expecting you.
Give me a name.
Xander, you of all people I thought would be game for some foreplay.
Why are you here?
I have a secret about your church. It'll crumble the very foundations. And once the church's been humiliated and ridiculed, I'll be able to rule the world.
You know what year it is? No one cares about the church. Atheists and secular governments run the world. The church is basically a way for people to feel they have some moral compass and to get some sweet, sweet tax-free ass.
You mean cash?
I said what I said.
Oh well, I know what you priests do in the dark.
We already came out about the kids.
Oh. Well, many of your priests aren't so pious.
We know about the homosexual priests. We're all woke now, except for the other things.
Oh. Well, it sounds like this place is truly a hellhole. Guess I'll go back now.
Give me a name. Tell me your name, so I know who to send the flowers to.
Oh, my name? It's Bill. Not William. Not like the nickname, just Bill. Keep it simple, you know? Well, I guess I'll leave. Xander pulls out machine guns and begins blasting the child with all his ammo. Behind the smoke leaving from the barrels, Xander whispers,
Amen.
The mom comes into the room. What have you done?
The demon gave me no choice. He pulled a gun first.
I don't see a gun. Xander walks over and puts a gun in the bullet-ridden child's hand. Oh, I guess you had no choice. States' rights shall not be infringed. Yay, America!
Now, I command you to take off your shirt and use the Lord's name in vain all night long.
Oh, Xander! Oh, God! Rock music begins playing. Flames explode onto the screen as credits end. The end.
Beautiful. I was wondering if the boy was there for aesthetic purposes or if Xander's playing the wrong tribe.
Xander doesn't give a fuck. A hole's a holiness.
Enter the Holy of Holies. Thank you all for sticking around and listening to this nonsense. We appreciate it. Please subscribe to us on Instagram, on Twitter, YouTube. Email us at podcastwithpotential@gmail.com. Shane, take us out of here.
The things I'm gonna do for my country. Yeah, kick his ass, Russell Crowe. And just end it with, are you not entertained?
Perfect.
Cuckoo.
Oh, God. Okay, I didn't see that part originally. It's like, what the fuck was that? I was like, what? And she goes, turn it back.
He cuckoos at nuns.
I know.
He pinches nuns' asses.
Going for them hootas.
Oh, what a stupid movie.
And...
Bye.
Cut.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's fuck this pig.
Let's shoot this pig right in its fucking face.
Go on now. Get into the pig.
I won't.
Do it. So I can eat the bacon.
I like how you're doing like an Australian doing an Italian accent. It's perfect.
It's almost like I watched a fat Australian pretend he was Italian.
Oh my god. We're there early. Let's do it.
Bring in the whores.
Who's doing this?
You did the last one, so keep it going.
Oh, okay.